Hey guys, what's up? We are back with some more reactions after dark, and we are going to be watching a Mother's Prison made a Hikikomori monster, Akihabara Massacre by Dark Asia with Megan. So I think I've been eyeing this one up for a while, I think. So I know she has a new one that just came out, the Geisha Killer. I think that the Geisha is the killer. But I want to do this one first. Tomorrow, I don't know what we're going to be doing. Maybe back to the Chinaverse. We'll have to see. I don't know if I want to start doing all of the rad videos live. I might do a post/poll on it at some points and see how people feel about that. If I should just do it live all the time, if I should just keep them as videos, live every blue moon, etc., etc. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, of course, we've watched Chinaverse yesterday live. We watched the first two episodes of that. Hopefully, everything in that playlist is like all of the Chinaverse stuff. Hopefully. So it could be old and not actually up to date. We'll have to see about that. But yeah, that was interesting. Question mark. Kind of crazy. Especially the second one with the woman just marrying, or not marrying, like trying to be with like 50 million different million/billionaires. But let's just get into this one.
Tokyo, Japan, home to more than 14 million people. It's a city that never really slows down. With the global rise of Japanese pop culture, more and more people began flocking to places like Shibuya, Shinjuku, and especially Akihabara, the mecca for anime fans. Bright lights, towering buildings, electronics, arcades, cosplay cafes. Akihabara is where people go to escape reality and dive into fantasy. But on one Sunday afternoon, that fantasy was shattered. Today, let's talk about the Akihabara mass killings.
Okay, so this is actually a massacre. I don't know if I know about this one. I feel like I do. Like, it sounds familiar, but I just don't have all the information on it.
It was June 8th, 2008. The streets of Akihabara were packed as usual. People were walking around, shopping, chatting, enjoying the weekend. No one had any reason to suspect that anything was off. That is, until a 2-ton Isuzu Elf truck came barreling through the intersection at full speed,
What does that even mean? I guess just a big truck.
running a red light and mowing down 5 pedestrians. At first, people thought it was a freak
Okay, it's one of these. Okay, I know what these cars are. I just didn't know what they were called.
accident, a crash, maybe brake failure, something tragic but not unheard of. But then the driver stepped out. That's when the screaming started. The man behind the wheel was Tomohiro Kato. He wasn't just there to cause a traffic accident. He had a dagger in his hand and started attacking anyone nearby.
Yes, I was gonna. How does this work? Because you can't just own a weapon in Japan. Like, guns are illegal. I don't know how hunting rifles work. Maybe, but yeah, you can't just have a gun. So how would he have achieved this? I guess this is how, with a dagger. I would say a knife. I would assume.
People who had just been laughing and walking with friends were now running, crying, or lying wounded on the ground. Chaos broke out in seconds. Kato stabbed anyone he could reach, bystanders, passersby, even police officers who rushed in to help. By the time it was over, 17 people had been killed or injured. He tried to escape, but an officer from the nearby Akihabara police box caught up with him.
I don't know how he was able to just get away with it like so easily. Just stab. He ran over 5 people, so I'm guessing that means those 5 died. So 12 people he stabbed. But I wouldn't say no one tried to stop him, but like no one tried to like tackle him down from behind, maybe, or like just keep him held down. Like a bunch of people jump him at once and try to like just get his arms stop flailing around. Like it's just like crazy that he was able to do that much damage with just a knife.
During the struggle, Kato slashed at the officer, even cutting through his protective gear. But the officer managed to hit him in the side of the head with a baton, knocking him off balance. With his gun drawn, the officer warned Kato to drop the weapon or risk getting shot.
Okay, so they actually have guns because like I don't feel like Japanese police officers actually have weapons. I'm just covering this up because YouTube, YouTube doesn't like that. Like we know that I've lost my train of thought there. But yeah, like I feel like police officers don't have guns usually in Japan, or do they actually? I guess they do. It's just I don't know. I just know you're not allowed to have guns in Japan, so I'm guessing police officers, some of them have them just in case? Question mark.
Kato gave up. He dropped the dagger and was arrested on the spot. Emergency crews rushed to the scene not long after the attack. It was a Sunday, and the street where this all happened, Chuotori, was closed off to traffic as usual, turned into what locals called a pedestrian paradise. People strolled around, shopping, sightseeing, and just enjoying the day. But in an instant, that street became a scene of horror. With crowds scattering in panic, many didn't even have time to process what was happening. Some fell, others froze. And in that chaos, Tomohiro Kato kept moving. Blood covered the street. And it later came to light that he was carrying not just one, but 5 knives.
Mary?
After his arrest, Kato was sent to the Tokyo District Public Prosecutor's office on June 10th. A few weeks later, on July 7th, the prosecutors requested a psychiatric evaluation. It was approved, and by October 6th, the evaluation concluded that Kato was mentally competent and fully responsible for what he had done.
Yes, like where are we trying to go with that? I mean, obviously trying to get him to be seen as criminally insane. I don't know if his defense attorneys or anything are trying to get that to go through. I guess that's just like the standard uh, procedure when you're doing anything like this. When you're trying to defend someone like this, you're like, oh, you just say they're crazy, right? But
So, what led this man to this point? Tomohiro Kato was born on September 28, 1982, in Koshogawara, Aomori Prefecture. He was the eldest of 2 sons. His parents were strict, especially his mother. She had graduated from one of the top schools in Aomori and was laser focused on academic success, her children's specifically. But this wasn't just discipline. According to reports, her methods crossed the line into abuse. Kato's childhood was full of rigid rules. He was expected to go to cram school, swimming class, and do extra studying. He wasn't allowed to visit friends or have them over. Even his homework wasn't safe from his mother's control. She often rewrote his assignments if they didn't meet her standards. The punishments were cruel. If he was late coming home, she would throw food at him and force him to eat it. If he cried, she stuffed a towel in his mouth and sent him outside in thin clothes, even during Aomori's brutal winters. If he failed to answer questions fast enough, she'd hit him. If he didn't recite his times tables, she would dunk him in the bath. She controlled everything: what he studied, what he wore, what the family did. Even vacations were chosen by her. Kato later wrote that he became a reflection of her, a person who thought she was always right, who lashed out when things didn't go her way. He described himself as a copy of his mother, someone who believed her way was the only way. He said the anger he felt when people didn't behave as he expected was the same anger he had seen in her.
I don't know if we're like going off of like what happens to the person who made the monster? Question mark. Because obviously he's a mass. Can you even say murderer? I don't know. Without getting in trouble on YouTube, because they just implemented new rules to make things even more tight. People already like bleep every other word, and now I feel like it's going to be even worse. I feel like you can't even talk about like true crime or news like this or anything like this anymore without getting in trouble with YouTube. So I don't know how these channels are even going to continue going. Because literally, when you upload a YouTube video now, it says it gives you a massive list of things you got to check off. Of are they in the video? And I feel like how are they even gonna these channels gonna stay afloat making content like this? I feel like they're just all gonna sink at this point. So I feel like get ready for these channels to stop doing this kind of content. But yeah, like, do we say okay, we need to throw him in the slammer? But like, what happens to the person who makes the monster? Like, we can't put her in like in jail for any of that stuff because it's like, first of all, it was a long time ago, right? Uh, but again, is there any place that would have any consequences for her? I feel like it doesn't really matter, even if you believe him. It's like, okay, sure, you still went and did all that stuff yourself, even if she did all those bad things at you. But yeah, I don't know. Like, is there a case to be made for punishing the person who makes the monster? Is what I'm trying to say, or no?
In many ways, he became the very person he feared the most. Growing up under his mother's shadow, Tomohiro Kato pushed himself hard because that's what was expected of him. He studied, performed well, and even managed to get into Aomori Prefectural High School, one of the top schools in the area, and the same one his mother had attended. It had a deviation score of 70, known for being extremely competitive, but none of that earned him praise. Even when he did exactly what she wanted,
Well, yeah, because that's what she wants. That's the bare minimum, right?
his mother kept pushing, criticizing, and punishing him.
Yeah, because again, like in her mind, that's just the bare minimum. Like there possibly isn't a top. It just the goalpost will just keep moving and moving, right?
His father stayed on the sidelines, watching but never stepping in. Eventually, Kato started to see his family not as loved ones, but as strangers living under the same roof. By the time he entered high school, the pressure and resentment reached a breaking point. He stopped studying altogether. He lashed out at his mother, both emotionally and physically, at one point, even smashing a window with his bare hands during a fight. Still, his mother didn't back off. She had already planned his future. She wanted him to get into the prestigious engineering faculty at Hokkaido University. But his grades weren't good enough, so instead, he enrolled in the Department of Automotive Engineering at Central Japan Automobile Junior College. Later on, after everything happened, Kato said he sometimes wondered if his life would have turned out differently if he had gotten into the university his mother wanted. But at that time, college life didn't mean much to him. He barely studied, skipped classes, and got more into bikes than books. He joined a motorcycle club, worked on modifications, and toured with his friends.
I mean, at least he is living a normal life now. So why did he become evil? So we said he's being referred to as the Hikikomori monster, which implies that he was staying at home locked away, not leaving his house. So how did he get to the point of never leaving his house?
Eventually flunking his chances at earning an auto mechanic certification. When asked what he wanted to do after graduation, Kato said he wanted to become a junior high school teacher.
That's random.
He even told friends and teachers he planned to transfer to a university back in Aomori, but that didn't happen either. After graduating, he moved to Sendai and lived on his own. His mom was still paying his way. 3 months in, he got a job through
Kind of weird that his mom is still supporting him despite being so like cruel. You think she would have just thrown him to the wolves and been like, okay, like you didn't do what I wanted. Good riddance. You possibly even like the worst insult. Like I could just make another one, right? But I doubt like it's that kind of relationship, I guess. But who knows?
Through a temp agency, working security, mostly guarding vehicles at construction sites. Later, he became a junior employee inside the company. In 2004, he got his driver's license, using his mother's money, and bought a used car. But his spending spiraled out of control, and he began racking up debt from consumer loans. Despite this, coworkers described him as friendly. He had friends both inside and outside of work, showed up on time, and didn't cause problems. But in 2005, something snapped again. He became unhappy with a colleague and abruptly quit.
Okay, just I'm guessing that's the conditioning that he had. Like if people don't do what he wants, it fills him with wrath, and thus that just was enough to make him quit, just like that, which is obviously not good. Is this how he becomes a hikikomori?
After that, he bounced from job to job. He
They still had jobs though.
worked at an automobile factory in Ageo City as a temp, but after falling out with coworkers, he started skipping work and got kicked out of the company dorm. In 2006, he moved to Tsukuba, lived in another dorm, and was fired once again for the same reason, not showing up at work. Eventually, he returned to Aomori, back under his mother's financial care. In 2007, he got hired as a full-time driver for a big transportation company. But once again, he quit, this time because he was upset he didn't get a 2-week summer vacation. Looking at Tomohiro Kato's work history, there was a clear pattern. The moment he felt frustrated or let down, even slightly, he would stop showing up. No explanations, no confrontations, he would just disappear.
Is that similar to how his mom is though? Because he's saying he's a reflection of his mom, but we keep hearing that the mom is still feeding him money, despite what you would argue being a disappointment by her standards, her extremely high standards, and yet she's still just feeding him all this money. So it's like she hasn't given up, or maybe just giving him money is giving up, right? You could argue that is giving up, because like, okay, you're never going to do anything here, just take this money that I got, and just, just live your life, whatever. But again, like you can't say it as the opposite, where it's like she's not given up on him yet. So I don't know if he exactly is like her, because he just, whenever he gets pushed, he just gives up. Which kind of just seems like that's a trait of him. I'm not sure. Him getting mad when things don't go his way, that definitely is influenced by her, but then the giving up, I feel like isn't really her. It's just like maybe the way she treated him did eventually give him that way. Because I think he just gave up because she was pushing him too hard, and that just has been his answer to everything. Like that's his own personal answer to difficulty. Is just to give up because he was pushed too hard by his mom.
And while he kept bouncing from job to job, he also leaned heavily on his mother for money. She paid for his driver's license, his car, and even supported him when he wasn't working. On top of that, he borrowed from loan sharks, digging himself deeper into debt. Around May 2006, things started to shift again, this time online. Kato became more and more absorbed in internet bulletin boards. He later described them as the place that filled in all the empty spaces in his life. Those blanks, as he called them, were the long stretches of time he spent feeling isolated and cut off from society. To him, it was like being socially dead. A psychiatrist named Tamami Katada later analyzed Kato using a memoir written by his brother. She pointed out that Kato grew up with strict limits on human connection. He wasn't allowed to freely interact with others. On top of that, he absorbed a kind of narcissism from his mother and projected it onto himself, at least through his teenage years. On the mobile bulletin boards, Kato created a persona, a lonely, bitter man suffering in a cruel world. And when people responded to that version of him, he kept it going, calling himself the Lord of the Ugly Thread.
Now, she's already spoken in a way that makes it seem like they probably executed this guy. since the I don't know what she referred to her as, a psychologist, we'll say, analyzed him through a book made by the brother, but not the man himself, which feels like, okay, well, he's already gone at this point.
By November 2007, Kato had signed on as a temp at a factory in Susono, Shizuoka Prefecture, working for Nikken Sogyo.
Maybe that was why they were trying to get the criminally insane charge instead, because maybe he got sentenced to death and they were trying to avoid that by the criminally insane path, but failed.
He had left Aomori after getting chased down for his car loan debt, and by this time he was completely immersed in online bulletin boards. In mid-May 2008, about a month before the attack, rumors started circulating at his job about possible mass layoffs. Kato panicked. He was afraid he would be out of work again, and he confided in a coworker about it. But by June 3rd, management announced that contracts would continue until at least August. Kato told someone the next day, "Looks like I don't have to quit." But then on June 5th, something small triggered a downward spiral. He couldn't find his work jumpsuit. That's it. That was enough to make him feel like he was being pushed out again.
Just that little simple thing. So he's not mentally insane, but does he have some sort of mental disorder on top of like the abuse that he faced as a child, or maybe even like brain damage? Because she said mom hit him, but like, what kind of hit are we talking? Was she hit him in the head? I feel like that would be like counterintuitive to what she would want, right? Because she's trying to make him like the smartest person in the universe. So I feel like hitting him in the head would not, like hitting him in the head and possibly causing brain damage would not be in her best interest. So who knows if that's something that happens? But yeah.
He went home on the spot. Not long after, someone messaged him saying the jumpsuit had been found. But Kato didn't calm down. Instead, he convinced himself that it was hidden on purpose, that people wanted him gone. He even wrote about it on one of the bulletin boards. To make things worse, someone started impersonating him online, posting as Kato and saying things he never said. This enraged him. He snapped. He wrote, "I'm going to cause an incident." He thought that maybe if he did something extreme, the person impersonating him would be blamed too.
That's not how that works? Question mark. I thought it was gonna be like, I'm gonna create a scene so that everybody knows who I really am. Like I am, Kato, not this random guy online.
At 10:44 a.m., he posted, "I'm going to Fukui tomorrow." That wasn't just a casual trip. He went there and bought 6 daggers.
Are those illegal in Japan? Question mark. I mean, even Japanese swords illegal? I feel like you can't just have them walking around on the street. And are those switchblades or stilettos? The 3 on the right over here. I guess I should like these 3 right there. I should do that. Then that's just like a regular knife in the middle. Yeah, like are these like stilettos? This is like obviously just a regular knife. This probably flips out, so this not really a switchblade, but kind of just a flip knife, and that's just like another regular knife. It's weird looking knives. Like, where did you get these from? Like, the dollar store? They kind of look like those kinds of things, like these. There's like something you might pick up at, not necessarily like a dollar store, but like a store that's like a cheap kind of generic store that just happens to sell everything,
Then,
which includes knives, like weapon knives.
on the morning of June 8th, the day of the attack, Kato created a new thread at 5:21 a.m. He posted about 30 messages in total. At 11:45 a.m., as he arrived in Akihabara, he changed the title to Kill People in Akihabara. And the post read, "I will use a knife when I can't use my car. Goodbye, everyone." At 12:10, he left one final message. "It's time." And 20 minutes later, he began the attack. After the incident,
What is he saying here? He's not like translating this, which I'm not going to be able to either, but this probably says like literally it's time. So like this right here says like it's time literally. Today, this is like heaven. Heaven's Day. What would be the translation for like Heaven's Day? It's like the Kingdom of Heaven's Day. Dayone. So is it not? So what does this mean? Dayone. This is Iki, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know, but we have today is something something Heaven's Day, is it not? Something like that.
and 20 minutes later, he began the attack. After the incident made headlines, the public and media scrambled to understand why he did it. One of the most common theories was that Kato felt hopeless as a young man stuck in unstable, temporary work, someone who saw no future. But during his trial, Kato said that wasn't it. He insisted his motives had nothing to do with his job status. According to him, it was more about his own extreme way of thinking, quitting jobs, disappearing, and shutting down whenever things didn't go his way. He never tried to work things out with his bosses or coworkers. He just left. Another theory labeled him as a loser in society.
Sure, though. It's just like whenever there's even the slightest bit of friction in his life, he runs away. Because again, like what we were saying earlier, is that he, because of his mom, if we want to keep tangentially blaming her a bit, I mean, he's the one who did it, but we're just going to say, because of how he was raised, that this is what happened. That again, like she pushed him so far that he broke and then just like started running away from all responsibility. Right, and then that now that's where we're at this point where again any sort of friction is like, okay, I'm out every time, goodbye. So to push him himself to just like massacre, I don't know if that's like the reason. I don't know if he's going to really tell us why.
On one of his threads, Kato had written, "Losers are born losers. Let's realize it first and then accept it."
Yeah, again, that doesn't seem too negative though. It's just like, okay, I'm a loser. Oh, who cares? That could be taken like that, or it could be taken like incel-ish kind of way. Not necessarily he's not that he's being incel-ish, but like tangentially to that, where it's the world's against me. I can't do anything. I was born this way. It's going to stay that way, so I'm just going to take people out in the end.
After the attack, some online communities disturbingly began treating him like a symbol. Some even called him a hero, a guru, or worse, a savior of society's outcasts.
So I feel like Hikikomori's really wants that? Question mark. I feel like they just want to sit at home and chill. Like they just like being at home. They don't want to do anything. Not well, some of them are in there because of depression, but I feel like some of them just literally just don't want to do anything. And that's it. It's not some sort of like social statement or anything like that. But yeah, I'm sure some are there because they are just in hyper depression of like how the world has treated them.
A guru, or worse, a savior of society's outcasts. But Kato rejected that too. He said he didn't understand people who seriously identified as losers and blamed the world for their failures.
But didn't he say losers are born losers, and we have to just whatever that quote was? Just have to accept that. Not accept it, but like, what was the quote, man? I'm gonna go all the way back to find that quote.
And stuck in unstable, temporary work. Someone, to him, it was more about his own extreme way of thinking. He never tried to work things out with told him as a loser in society. On one of his threads, Kato had written, "Losers are born losers. Let's realize it first and then accept it."
Yeah, so like realize it first and accept it. That seems like positive, and just being like, okay, like I'm a loser. Some people are born losers. Let's just accept that, and then let's see what happens after that. Let's push forward. I mean, I'm adding words, I'm putting words in his mouth, but that's just how I'm taking that. So I don't know where all these contradictions are coming from.
That too. He said he didn't understand people who seriously identified as losers and blamed the world for their failures. He found their bitterness repulsive.
Okay, well, that makes a bit more sense.
The third theory people often talk about is the so-called Hikikomori theory.
Which, what is that even going to be? But yeah, the loser thing. I guess I get that he doesn't get the people wanting to be called losers and want to be losers. You could take that statement from earlier about like accepting it and then moving on, moving past it to not be a loser because that's the last thing you want to be. So maybe that makes sense for him not liking this loser mentality or whatever, even though he kind of falls into that by just like running away from every challenge when there's even the slightest bit of friction. Abrasion.
In Japan, the term hikikomori refers to individuals who withdraw completely from society, staying indoors, avoiding work, surviving off their parents, and living almost entirely online. Given Kato's upbringing, strict parenting, especially from his mother, some thought he was headed down that path from a young age. It was easy to imagine how years of emotional control could lead to isolation, anxiety, and eventually a deep sense of detachment from the outside world.
Yeah, though he was still getting a job back to back to back to back back to back. He even still had a job when he did this. So it kind of goes against that. So it kind of doesn't really make sense. Sure, he was getting money from his mom, but he wasn't just milking that the entire time and not doing anything else. He just seems to get a job, gets the slightest bit of abrasion, leaves, but then still goes and gets another job. And then abrasion, leave, new job, abrasion, leave, new job, over and over again, where like a hikikomori would just be jobless for their entire life.
He didn't fit in at work.
Or at least nearly, like have a job, something happens, and they just seclude forever. Or if it's like an anime, like they get bullied in school or something, and then that made them depressed, and then they just stay at home forever.
He felt alienated, and little by little, that gap between him and society kept growing. The one place where he did feel like he belonged was the internet, more specifically, the bulletin boards. So when those boards were vandalized by someone impersonating him, it pushed him over the edge. It wasn't just embarrassment or anger, it was betrayal in the only place he thought he could be himself.
Sure.
But not everyone agrees with the hikikomori label. Sociologist Shinji Miyadai challenged that idea. He pointed out that Kato had friends. He wasn't completely cut off from society. He worked, went to bars, talked openly with others.
Yeah, he was like leaving the house, going to work, getting job. Even if he quits, he ends up getting a job again. Allegedly, again, had friends. Those are all things you typically wouldn't have, right? As a hikikomori, you are just in your room permanently, forever. Maybe you have friends online, but you're just in your room / house, like a day in and day out for years.
And even made friends through the very bulletin boards that people claim isolated him. He traveled across the country to meet them. Even on the day of the incident, he called an old coworker and asked if they wanted to hang out. Still, despite those connections, people insisted that Kato was lonely. And maybe that's the thing. Loneliness isn't always about how many people you have around.
Yeah, of course.
You can laugh with friends, go out for drinks, and still feel completely alone. Kato, for his part, rejected most of the theories about his motives. He claimed that investigators twisted his story to fit a convenient narrative. He also criticized the media for running with those interpretations without digging deeper. When asked why he did it, Kato didn't offer a single clear reason. He said that before Akihabara, he had considered other plans, setting fire to his old security company's office in Sendai, or crashing into an oncoming truck to kill himself.
Okay, so we're saying he was premeditating these events, and he had a plethora of options of what he could have done, and he just chose this one for some reason.
But none of that happened. Instead, he chose Akihabara. In court, the deeper issue came into focus: Kato's belief system. If someone did something he didn't like, instead of talking it through, he cut them off, or worse, reacted with violence.
And did his mom cut him off? I mean, again, she was feeding him money. So it's just like weird to say he's like such a reflection of her, but we've already gone over this like several times. It's just like that's how he got molded into this. It's like he came to his own conclusion of being like, okay, friction equals cut them off, run away.
This mindset, many believe, was a reflection of how he was raised, modeled after his mother's controlling and uncompromising ways. After years of court proceedings, Tomohiro Kato was sentenced to death in 2015.
Okay, so he did get the penalty.
He stayed in prison with almost no contact with anyone but his lawyer. He refused visits, didn't accept gifts, and spent his final years in silence. On July 26, 2022,
Wow, he stayed in jail for a while. That was like not that long ago.
he was executed at the age of 39. There were rumors about the timing of this execution, that it was somehow tied to the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe just weeks before. Some pointed out that both Kato and Abe's assassin, Tetsuya Yagamami, were the same age and had controlling mothers who deeply shaped their lives. But according to Mainichi Shimbun, Kato's execution had been scheduled long before and wasn't related to anything political. After the attack, Kato's entire family came under fire. His parents were blamed. His mother was vilified. His father resigned from his job, divorced, and lived alone back in Aomori. His mother, racked with guilt and slipping into mental illness, was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. And his younger brother, unable to carry the weight of the shame, ended himself in 2014.
A year before, well, not even a year before, like he didn't even get his sentencing until 2015, right?
The case seemed
I guess that's what they meant by like the memoir of the brother, reading the memoir, because the brother also died, unfortunately. And of course, there's just like this whole shame culture, right, with Asia, with Asians, right, where like one person can bring shame to the entire family.
to be over, but was it really? After Kato's execution, people started to look at the case again. They noticed some inconsistencies.
What is it? What do you mean? Like, isn't it just like cut and dry? He ran some people over. He stabbed some people. Again, like 12 people being stabbed is still crazy. Like, I don't know how some big dudes didn't show up and like beat him up or like try to like tackle him or get the knife away from him. Like, try to get him from behind before he could like swing knives. Like, how? I guess I just don't know how easy it is for someone with a knife to just run into a crowd. And well, especially not just a crowd, because like if you're surrounded by a lot of people and they don't know, sure, but the people knew. Like he crashed into, like he ran over a bunch of people before this, then got out with the knife, and then started going crazy with it. So people were already should have been in a panic slash running away mode. Like trying to get away from the car to begin with. So it's not like he was like, he should have been right next to people. So what are the inconsistencies? Is it just how many people actually got hurt, or Is it just saying things are even worse? Like,
little things that didn't quite line up. And slowly, some began to wonder, was Tomohiro Kato really acting alone that day?
okay, accomplice? Okay, so worse, but again, like, that's what I was saying, like 12 people?
Or is there more to the Akihabara tragedy than we were told? So there's something about the Akihabara case that just doesn't sit right with some people. Over the years, a few details have sparked rumors. Rumors that maybe Tomohiro Kato wasn't the only one involved. Or worse, that he might not have been the actual killer at all. So let's start with the first thing that raised eyebrows, the sheer speed and scale of the attack. Kato drove a 2-ton truck into a busy intersection, hit multiple people, then got out, and within 2 minutes, stabbed 12 people.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like 12? You successfully stabbed that many people who should have already been running away from you? Where is your stamina? Like, you're probably like full of adrenaline, sure. But like, again, people should have already been running away from this incident. And you're still somehow able to run down 12 people?
That's what the reports say, 12 victims in just 2 minutes. And these were
I don't know what this means. We have 3 dots. I'm assuming those 3 people who got run over. These orange dots, I don't know what they are. This is definitely not enough dots, though, right? Because it's only 9, and I think this is just him being caught over here. I don't know about that. Let's talk about the truck. I'm assuming he got out of the truck, stab, stab, stab. I guess sprinted over here, stab, stab, stab. And then zigged around until he got caught here from the police, is what I'm guessing. But again, that's 6 people. But like, again, he ran over here, ran people over, stopped here. People already ran out. He has a knife. He was able to successfully sprint at 3 people, kill them all. And these people are like not running away. Sprint at them and then get them. Of course, they're probably all running away. They didn't start here and just stood there and let him do that, but still.
weren't minor injuries. 4 people died at the scene from deep, fatal wounds. That kind of violence would take a lot of force, precision, and stamina.
Yeah, so it's that also, like, it's not just like a little nick, him waving the knife around. Like, you really gotta get that in there, possibly multiple times. And you're doing that in 2 minutes to 12 people?
But if you look at photos of Kato, he is a thin, almost
That's also what I was thinking. Like, I didn't assume that he was a person of, like, any major strength or stamina.
frail-looking guy. No visible muscle mass, no signs of someone with the strength to inflict that much damage so quickly. It makes people wonder, was it physically possible for him to do that alone? Then there's the second thing, the lack of blood.
She showed pictures earlier, and there was no blood on the grounds. The only blood that we saw was on his own face.
Think about it.
From
If
getting
someone
whacked.
stabs a dozen people, especially at
That dozen people to death, they would be leaking. But liters?
close range, wouldn't you expect blood on their hands, on their clothes? But when Kato was arrested, he was
Yeah, nothing. It's just the blood that was on his head from being whacked.
wearing an off-white jacket and beige chinos that were
Yeah, not a single drop of blood.
spotless, no blood splatter,
Let me see his hands, though.
no stains. His hands were clean too.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you can see pools of blood on the pavement and photos of the victims being treated. So how did the attacker walk away without a single visible trace? Now here's the third point, and it's maybe the strangest of them all, the footage. The incident happened in 2008, before smartphones with high-def video were everywhere. And yet, there's clear footage of the arrest, not blurry or shaky, clear. Turns out, a member of the technical management team from Japan Television just so happened to be on site with a digital camera in hand and started recording the moment it happened. In a span of 2 minutes during absolute chaos, he managed to capture the arrest with a steady shot. Some people say that's a miracle. Others say It's too convenient.
Yeah, like him, he just happened to be there. I mean, sure, he could have just been happened to be there. That's fine. No adrenaline or panic, just a complete unshaky shot. Sure, maybe he's just like the ultimate professional, but you can only stack so many sures before it's like, okay, come on.
And these strange coincidences led to a bigger theory that maybe Kato wasn't alone, that maybe there was another person involved. Witnesses claimed they saw a short, heavy-set man covered in blood, holding a survival knife. Multiple people described this man, not Kato. Some even said he was the one who got out of the truck and started the stabbing.
Like, if that's just, we don't know if that's just random nonsense or not. Why would Kato take the fall here? Now we're just getting like so deep into this conspiracy. Like, what actually happened? Or is she just gonna be like, oh, I'm just joking, he did it at the end. But like, how is it going this deep?
If that is true, then who was he? Why didn't police ever investigate that lead?
Yeah, again, like, why is he being thrown? Why is Kato being thrown in the bus and saying he did all this stuff? He didn't give a good reason, right? Like, nobody knew what. He said it wasn't that, it wasn't because of this. So, is it just the reason he didn't give a good reason to why he did it is because he didn't actually do it? And so he couldn't come up with a convincing answer?
Was it never reported in the media? And that's where the conspiracy theories start. Some believe the real killer had connections, someone in power, and Kato was chosen as a scapegoat. They point to how quickly TV crews appeared, how Kato showed no bloodstains, and how all other testimonies were dismissed without explanation. After the attack, the government moved quickly. Pedestrian Paradise in Akihabara was cancelled, surveillance increased, and online activity came under tighter control. Some say the incident was used as an excuse to tighten public control.
Yeah, I feel like that's going too far, right? Just take out 17 of your citizens just to be allowed to have higher security. So if you're assuming like the government, Japanese government, is like crazy and corrupt, which that did not cross my mind. Um, like, you would have to have a crazy corrupt government to be like, okay, we're going to plan a massacre today. We're going to blame some random person for it, so that we can have basically a Big Brother type scenario, right? Where we need more cameras, we need to be watching people even closer, and this is going to be our way to do that. Like, I don't see that coming out of Japan, but who knows?
And Kato was the perfect figure to pin it all on. But here's the thing, despite all those
What?
questions, none of the conspiracy theories were ever backed by hard evidence. The eyewitness reports of a fat man with a knife were never formally filed. No one came forward publicly.
Well, the only evidence is the fact that Kato has no blood on him. Like, that's like the biggest evidence that you have. It's just like he's dry.
And no one left credible posts on bulletin boards. And this was Akihabara on a Sunday. If there had been someone else, surely more people would have noticed. Someone would have spoken up, but they didn't. So maybe those testimonies were nothing more than rumors. So what do you think? Do you believe Tomohiro Kato acted alone? Or was there something else going on beneath the surface of that quiet Sunday afternoon in Akihabara?
I don't know, the conspiracy here is actually pretty interesting, but this just seems like one of those things that's never going to be answered.
After all, these theories mostly live on forums and social media. Official investigations and credible media have consistently identified Kato as the sole attacker. So,
I still think, even if that's the case, it doesn't make sense that he's just was so precise, so perfect that not a single drop of blood was on him, or his clothes,
while the doubts are out
or his hands.
there, they've never been backed by solid evidence. If you dig into these theories, just make sure to keep a critical eye. That is all for today. Thanks for watching.
And that is the Akihabara Massacre video. Yeah, it got way more, not way more, but it got it got more interesting as the video got on. I mean, it's fine, obviously, from the get-go, but like it actually escalated when we got to the conspiracy stuff of what was actually going on. Because again, I'm kind of on board of like how does someone commit a massacre but not have a single drop of blood on them? That seems kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers or think about becoming a member. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And don't forget we have a throne now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. We're gonna do the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. Into the do. See ya.